Hey everybody, welcome back to Coffee with Andi. I am so excited to connect with you again today. Today I have got my hibiscus iced tea because it is nice and hot outside in New York City and I am enjoying this weather so much. And I'm excited to bring to you today a question from somebody in Virginia Beach, and they're just saying, I would love to know more and hear your advice about dating well for marriage and spiritually leading people well. Well, this is a twofold question, and so I'm gonna get started with dating well for marriage. I think this is a big question, a good question, and I would love to answer from just my perspective in dating my husband, actually. You know, for me, before I got saved at 19 years old. You know, I was sleeping around, you know, dating football players, all of that sort of stuff. So that kind of carried over into my Christian walk. And I had this assumption that the man that I would marry would be this American athlete. And then fast forward, I moved to Australia, and we all know that I married an Australian man who, you know, he cares about sports, but not that much. And he is not an athlete. He's more a musician, leader, preacher man. And so when he came across my path and asked me out, I was like, no, this isn't the guy, because I was actually looking for the outward look of what I thought I was gonna marry instead of on the inside. And it's funny because I felt like, man, I should probably go out with this guy. And when I went out with him, I mean, it's a long story, but honestly, over time, just dating him was healing for me because he pursued me, he loved me, he honored me, and it was so funny. He took me out on the most amazing dates. He took me out on 4 dates once a week, and then even after our first kiss, I know some of you have heard this story, I actually dumped him because I freaked out. I absolutely freaked out, but all my issues started to come to the surface going, God, this doesn't look like I thought it would look, and this isn't in the way that I prayed or thought that it would look like. And I remember I looked him in the eyes and I broke up with him, and I was like, you know, I just feel like I don't want to do like a long distance relationship. And so anyways, I lied about a whole bunch of stuff. And long story short, I remember watching him just worship God one night a couple of weeks later, and I was sitting there having a quiet time that evening. I said, God, you know, tell me, am I supposed to marry this guy? Like, say yes or no. And I felt the Holy Spirit say, no, you tell me what you love about him. And as I journaled page after page after page of all the amazing things that I adored and loved about him, then the Holy Spirit said to me, well, is that good enough? And I remember going, yes, it's good enough. And going back to Paul and going, will you please take me back? I made a mistake. And the truth is, let's talk about Christian dating for a moment. I had such a warped perspective. Why? Because I wasn't whole. And I needed healing in different areas of my life so that I wasn't looking for a man to look a certain way to fulfill a certain need in me. And look, you're not going to be perfect when you start dating. None of us are perfect. I'm not even perfect now. There's still things I'm working out, or sometimes I try to get my husband to solve a problem for me that only Jesus can. But what I'm saying to you is, first start with you. Become the most amazing man or woman that you possibly can. Work on becoming whole. Be committed to wholeness and being healed and working on who you are, so that when that person comes across your path, you know, you'll just go, wow, this looked different than I thought, but God, is this the direction you're taking me? I think it's really important too that a lot of us are gun shy because we feel like, you know, people make jokes about it, that coffee means marriage and all of that, but we've got to really do better in church culture to not make it so heavy, but allow people to maybe go on a couple of dates and go, you know, I don't think that this is for us, and not make it such a big deal. So I would say to you, you know, there's a book, it used to be called How to Know If Someone's Worth Pursuing in 3 Dates or Less. And that was a really amazing book for me. I think it's called Date or Soulmate now. And I think it's attached to a dating website. So I am not necessarily endorsing it, but I will just tell you that that was a great book for me to read because it really helped me narrow down what I really couldn't live without and what I could live with, if you know what I'm talking about. And so really it broke down the value system of what I was truly looking for. And I think just honor. Like, you know, men or women, I just want to say this one thing to you. The person that you're supposed to do life with may or may not look like what you think in your mind's eye. And so I would say, give it a shot, go out, give it a try. And if it's not right, it's not right. But don't be so intense. The truth is I would have totally missed being married to my husband if I would have gone with, oh, this is what it's supposed to look like. This is what marriage, you know, or the guy that I'm gonna marry is gonna look like. He's gonna look exactly like this and fit in this box. I wouldn't be married today with 4 children, running along alongside a man that I am madly in love with and can't believe how good of a job God did in pairing us up. But I could have missed it. And you know what? I even broke up with him and I could have walked away from it. So just don't be so intense, but go for it. Give it a try. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And don't be so hard on yourself. But number one is really take care of yourself. Become whole. Be committed to wholeness, because you need to be committed to that your whole marriage as well once you finally get married, or if you marry that person. The other thing that I would say when it comes to, what was the other question? That was the other side of that. The other part of that question was, how do I spiritually lead people well? What's funny is it comes back to the same thing. I think for us to spiritually lead people well, we've got to get good at leading ourselves well. People that we lead we've got to be examples to them. Even in my preaching, I find that the times where I feel like, man, I was so vulnerable. Now, I really like to be vulnerable when I have got a level of wholeness, or I'm going to be jumping down the trenches with somebody in a message. But, I want to have either overcome in a situation or have answers for someone, but be able to be vulnerable with them, because I've been able to go there myself. The truth is when you lead people spiritually well, first of all, don't be controlling. People have a free will, and you got to understand that. Let them have a free will. Some people are going to make choices that you don't agree with. You can challenge them in the choices that they've made, but you can't control them. People have a free will. God gives you a free will, so make sure you give people a free will, but do call them up. Raise the standard as you lead people. And like I said, lead yourself well. If you lead yourself well, and you're willing to go to certain places in your own life, in your own spiritual journey, other people are going to follow you. And if you're not, they're going to know that you're full of it and that you're making stuff up. And so I would say that's just really a great way to lead people well. So I know that was two very different dynamics. I love that question, or both of those questions. And in this series, I actually am going to have my friend Nicole. She's going to be on here, and she's going to be talking about how to do single life well. So this video can kind of be the precursor to how to do single life well. When I'm talking from my perspective, look, I've been married now for quite a few years, and like I said, have 4 children, but I would love to get one of my amazing dynamic single friends who is killing it and doing life well. I'm gonna bring her in to talk about how to do single life well. But when it comes to dating, once again, let me bring that around full circle. I would remind you again, don't be so intense. We need to change church culture about the intensity, and we need to be able to go out on a couple of dates, and if it doesn't work, it's okay. But also, again, please lead yourself well. Be committed to wholeness and becoming the person that, when you both look up and you go, oh my gosh, we're running in the same direction. That was the one last piece of advice I'll leave with you, is the one that my mom gave to me. And I was, intense about wanting to be married and all of that. And I remember my mom saying, Andi, I just saw a vision of you, and you were walking, and there was a man walking beside you, and it was like you were both walking in the same direction, and all of a sudden your paths met. Keep following God. Seek first his kingdom, and all of these things will be added unto you. Keep following God, and all of a sudden you'll just look up and realize, this guy or this girl has been walking alongside me all along. We're going in the same direction. I can't encourage you enough or urge you enough to marry someone going in the same direction as you. Otherwise, you will be fighting against each other. Now, do you have to be, running in the exact same calling, doing the exact same thing? That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying serving God together, running in the same direction. Oh my gosh, you will win. So anyways, I hope this has helped you in some way, shape, or form. I love my hibiscus tea. I hope you go and get some, whatever part of the world you're in, if you can find it. It's like so amazing. And I'm excited to have my friend Nicole with me on the next Coffee with Andi. See you guys soon.